probably more pressure, in my opinion, that's dumped on the multifamily owners, and it probably hasn't been in the last 10 years. And so owners at this point, they're trying to figure out, okay, well, I need to generate more cash. How else am I going to do it? But I'm also in a market where renters are not willing to pay more than last year, right? So you can only cut costs to a certain point, and that's what a lot of operators will start doing. We sort of advise against that, because when you start cutting costs, you'll start seeing rents come down because they're somewhat related. So our model is really about how do you drive higher revenue. And so in some sense, these challenges and opportunities that multifamily owners are facing, it's actually brought us even probably more business and inbound interest, because they're realizing I can't make my debt payment. I need to generate more revenue. Who I'm going to call?
Can you talk a little bit about on the buildings that you've come into that where you've kind of taken over management, what some of the returns have been for owners that have invested in bringing you guys in?
We can usually see about a 5 to 10% NOI uplift. And then on top of, if we built in our experiences and we have actually membership programs, that could be another lift of 5%. And then with our flexible stay, that could be another lift of 10%. So it really depends on how much juice is left in each asset. Some assets that are not managed well, we can come in and push almost up to a 30% NOI uplift, but certain assets where it's run better, but we can put in certain components of our model, we can see NOI uplift of 10 to 15%.
So I wonder if you could speak a little bit to what's going on in San Francisco, specifically on the luxury side of things.
I think we've all read the news about San Francisco, where there is population leaving. And so with that, there are demand that has been impacted. Now, it's what's happening is also require landlords and property management companies to be a sharper operator in some sense, because before it was a landlord market, but now there's a shift to more of a renter's market. So it's becoming more competitive, and we love to be in this space because this is what we're really good at, is really tapping into that ultra luxury space. And so a lot of buildings will call themselves that. And I think the key difference between us and other operators is that most of our team comes with some type of hospitality experience.
Do you think that multifamily has been kind of missing that hospitality background?
I think that the hotels just do it better. I think when we as customers, when we go walk an apartment building or a hotel, the hotel just has more energy. Like the general managers, they have the attention to detail. Even the moment before you even valet your car, they train their valet staff how to greet you. The bagman knows when to interact with you, and then the moment you check in, they're making eye contact, they're happy to see you. Unfortunately, I think in the multifamily space, there's been a movement of let's move staffing off the assets, right? I think that's been because there's a sense that we think that customers don't want to interact. But what we found is that customers want the option to interact with you. And so, multifamily builds these absolutely gorgeous amenities, but you need somebody that know the space to activate it. So I just came off of the call with my operation team, and we were just going through and talking about which community we need to push on customer service, because we know that if that's our special sauce, right? And so that's really key for us to have repeat customers and for people to stay with us from short-term to long-term, or from long-term to short-term.
When they stay, if they decide they want to stay, they're moving out of the short-term like furnished unit into a unfurnished unit, or they just stay in the furnished unit?
Sometimes both. We have people that stay in furnished because I think that I love the convenience. If I had to redo it, I don't know if I want to move my furniture in and out. And so in your younger days, when you're having to move around for work, it is not a pleasant experience. I think we all have probably good stories about someone breaking their back or their wrists from moving. The way we think about it is that some folks just want to show up with their roller case and their suitcase, and then they can start. And again, furniture has been such a cheap commodity in a certain sense, because you have the emergence of like Wayfair and even Amazon's in the business. The cost of moving that furniture probably is more than what that furniture value is when you depreciate. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't really make sense for a lot of renters anymore. Like, why would you want to be responsible to move your furniture? And the likelihood of you damaging the apartment where you have to pay the landlord is also high. when you're having to move, because most of the damages happen when you're moving the furniture. So it's like, why not just have somebody furnish it for you and you can move from one city to another city? And I think that we're seeing that people want the flexibility and the mobility. People don't, like I was saying, that people don't stay there for 12 months. I think that we've seen this disruption in the music. Back in the day, we all had CDs, right? When you and I probably had CDs and tape, and we thought we had to own music. Now, I don't think any of us own any music. And you see the transformation happen with transportation, with vehicles. You could argue about when you and I were probably 16 or 17, we were dying to have our own car to get around. But now we see that the age of people wanting to drive has been pushed back, and that just the definition of there's even platforms out there that allow you to share vehicles where you're not using, Toro and all that stuff. So the same thing's happening in housing, and that's why you see this emergence of Airbnb, because people have realized wow, I'm actually not in my home the entire time, and while I'm not there, I can actually monetize this and actually, pay rent. And so some of our communities where we allow for home sharing, we see that residents are getting almost 20% of the rent paid just by allowing home sharing. And so that's based on them just not being there for about 3-4 weeks out of the year, where they're just traveling or on vacation, and they're basically home sharing their unit. So we have a relationship and a partnership with Airbnb that allows us to, not for San Francisco because it's restrictive, but in other cities where that's allowed, we're seeing that residents are like, wow, this makes sense, because not only do I have to not lug my furniture around, I can get part of my rent paid when I'm not there. And so I think we're seeing people picking up the inefficiencies of the housing that's just been existing.